Hi people, FenixFire again. For today's broadcast we've got an underused match against SuperJustin12. Channel link down to bottom if you're interested in visiting it. Lacking a rapid spin to counter any entry hazards, I fear my common leads will not fare well if Deoxys D leads the charge. As I keep this warning in mind, the battle kicks off. Wary of Deoxys D, like stated earlier, Kingdra is sent out to pilot the team into battle, while SuperJustin starts the game with Heracross. Unable to bear any of the foe's assaults, I quickly retreat into Nidoqueen, who will take little damage from anything this beetle might employ. As Megahorn rams itself into my Pokemon, I'm able to take the hit effortlessly, foreseeing a possible switch into Deoxys D to scare me off and plant entry hazards as soon as possible. I forgo Stealth Rock and ready a Dragon Tail, while the foe swaps into the aforementioned Pokemon. Scratching the behemoth for microscopic damage, Heracross is forced out once more. Unable to dent my Nidoqueen even with its strongest attack, Heracross is called back immediately, while I grasp the opportunity to pressure my foe with Stealth Rock. As Azel flies in to replace Justin's mighty insect, I must fall back in order to withstand Heracross's blows. Shifting into Cobalion, the Blue Elf luckily decides on Psyshock, hitting Cobalion's far higher defenses than special defenses. Overall poorly equipped to combat Azelf effectively, I roll the die as I hope to flinch the foe with Iron Head. Unable to achieve said goal, Flamethrower annihilates Cobalion, setting the score to 5 versus 6. Without any boosts strengthening Azelf's prowess, Kingdra's above average constitution should allow me to endure a single hit and end the tiny threat's existence. Blemishing Kingdra with a final Psyshock, Choice Spec Surf washes away the opposition and reduces the scoreboard to 5 versus 5. Bringing back in Heracross on his companion's death, I return his thrust with my parry as Nidoqueen stands ready once more to drive back this foul critter. Sustaining all it can muster without difficulty, I once more prepare to Dragon Tail the opposition on the all-too-obvious switch. Swapping in the all-too-familiar Deoxys D again, my Pokemon swipe fails to hit the cloaked figure by a hair. Left in this less than optimal position, I must weigh my options carefully lest entry hazards swamp my field or Psychic, undoing my only counter to Heracross. Threatened beyond belief by a possible stab Psychic attack, there is a big chance Deoxys D could refrain from claiming Nidoqueen as its prize. Lacking a rapid spinner of my own, Spikes would devastate my team's mobility and survivability, especially combined with a permanent sandstorm from the foe's Hippopotas. Acknowledging the danger it poses to me, I might be able to use the weather later to whittle down Deoxys D in the long run. Therefore, even with Heracross still lumbering about, I decide to plant a layer of Toxic Spikes and Dragon Tail my opponent, while Deoxys D greedily spreads 2 films of spikes. Striking it lucky by luring out his Sandstream user, any of the adversary's fighters not immune to it will suffer tremendous lingering wounds. Robust enough to take a single Earthquake from this hippopotamus, I press the offense with Earth Power, while SuperJustin continues to establish mines. Even though these are very effective in the long run, one must know that obstacles alone will not win you the game. Able to end the engagement without experiencing a single reprisal, 5 versus 4 is the record for now. Flaunting his stalwart Stoutland, I have little incentive to switch out my defensive wall, considering these Pokemon are nearly all choice band varieties. Return striking fierce as it charges my Pokemon head-on. Nidoqueen's rigorous training pays off once more as the hearty hit fails to 2-hit KO my Pokemon. Scared the poison and a follow-up volley will render his Hound vanquished as well. My adversary continues to exchange competitors, while Nidoqueen cracks the ground once more with Earth Power. With the venom seeping into Deoxys D's veins, this war of attrition will soon turn into my favor, even with only regular poison breaking down this psychic tank. As Deoxys D takes the barrage intended for Stoutland, the tiny amount of damage continues to stack up as the various after-turn effects dent the foe from all sides. Having done way more than I could have asked for, I recall Nidoqueen in favor of Mew. Packing the move Taunt, I should be able to shut down the enemy's monstrosity even more if it ain't the speedy version I feared in the beginning. As Nightshade only inflicts minor damage percentage-wise, Mew consumes its leftovers first, providing vital proof that my Pokemon will outspeed the foe's next turn. Racking up on after-turn effects, Deoxys D's vitality is dropping rapidly. Enraging my enemy with taunts like stated earlier, I managed to deny both recovery and continued entry hazard support, as the sandstorm never ceases to rage and the poison draining the foe of strength. even the adversary's towering protective stats will not save it from its fate if it stays in much longer. Roosting once more to mend my own combatant nearly back to full, Nightshade is all the foe's space virus can muster. With the fixed attack dealing insignificant harm, Mew is running the show now. As the overtime wraps up the usual sandstorm damage, poison injuries and leftovers recovery, the time to end this portion is upon us. Left shriveled from the continuous onslaught, Mew deals the coup de grace with Psychic, undoing the stalwart wall. As the dust settles, 5 vs 3 Pokemon remain. Stripped of his defensive core, we can finally put Stall to rest and kick the match back into high gear. As Heracross stands ready to avenge another Pokemon, Poison empowers my foe due to its Guts ability. Despite boosting my opponent, it was a necessary risk to take in order to combat Deoxys D. I won't stand for long against its elevated attack, of that I'm sure, but it might work in my favor once more in combination with the Sandstorm. Calling upon Nidoqueen once more, Guts-boosted Megahorns continue to hit their mark and prove to be far too potent at this low HP count. Crushed after 2 consecutive blows, Nidoqueen bites the dust, but did stall for plenty of indirect damage, as the score is lowered to 4 vs 3. Having lost my premier defender, I must intimidate my opponent via other means, lest Heracross repays the damage I've inflicted so far in full. Sending forward Hitmonlee to coerce my enemy with priority, SuperJustin12 acknowledges the imminent danger and falls back to a safer option in the form of a Azumarill. Taking only a quarter from the choice banded Mach Punch, Hitmonlee can't hope to subdue the adversary in time before it musters enough power to defeat the martial artist. As it is imperative that I safeguard my fighter to combat both Stoutland and Heracross, Shaman takes over for now as Waterfall, even when coupled with 2 layers of spikes and Stealth Rock piercing its skin, only managed to scratch the offensive critter due to not sporting a choice band. With my grass type flaunting superior speed and tools in the current matchup, my head considers various scenarios, while the game completes the aftermath. Anticipating a possible switch, I forgo Seed Flare and pick Rest to recuperate the wounds received so far. Definitely a bit too defensively inclined of a play, since the remainder of the foe's team has already been severely weakened. Yet, I figured stalling for an additional turn of poison damage would aid me more in the long run than having Seed Flare possibly miss. In retrospect, attacking would have been the better option, since the play cost me my Grassy Hedgehog, as 2 consecutive Ice Punches pounded into a pulp, leaving the score at 3 vs 3. Both teams down to half their original power. The match will soon come to a close. Left with only a sliver of HP, I once again consider all my options and pick a conservative approach for a second time, as I cull Mew over Hitmonlee. Although this might seem bizarre, Mew will, without a doubt, lure out the foe's Heracross, granting me another round of indirect damage to soften the beetle up and bring it into KO range of Mach Punch, mostly courtesy of the foe's own Sandstorm, combined with my Toxic Spikes. With Waterfall falling short because of no boosting item, Roost and Leftovers keeps my Pokemon healthy as Sand strikes down the powerful Bane. 3 vs 2 combatants is all that remains. Breaking out his blue menace for a final time, the opposing Heracross continues to hit home with Megahorn as it eradicates my Psychic type in a single attempt. Both down to our last 2 players, Hitmonlee is now free to reign supreme in the home stretch. Still sporting enough HP to come in on several entry hazards laid in place and endure the violent Sandstorm, Hitmonlee's Quicksilver punches make short work of both the near-dead Heracross and badly wounded Stoutland. As the last of the foe's team hits the ground, the match ends in a decisive 2 vs 0. That was the game for today, and I hope you enjoyed it. Even though my foe had several advantages over me, entry hazards alone won't win you the game. It can definitely aid in obtaining victory, but overemphasizing on it will leave you only a few turns to actually attack and exploit set aids. All in all, while entry hazards are a cornerstone to most good teams, nothing is good in excess. If you want to see more, feel free to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next battle. FenixFire out.